Egypt, a nation of myths, religion and history, has long been the dream of millions of people, including me. Let's first dive down to the artery of this nation, the Nile-River. The Nile-River, which is the longest river in the world, has reared hundreds of generations of people who lived along it. And Egypt, the overlord of the downstream Nile and the river delta, is the largest beneficiary of the river. And this summer, I went on a voyage to this nation with profound historical heritage and unique culture. In the following episode, I'll take you south all the way down the Nile from Aswan to Cairo and broadly review the status quo of the river and the nation's society, environment and culture. If you like this video, please subscribe me and press the like button. It is very important for a beginner like me. The first station of my journey is Aswan. The small city is located near the Dam of Aswan and Nasser Lake. The dam, named by the city, has long been a landmark in Upper Egypt, and it was 111 meters high and can produce 10 billion kilowatt hours of electricity per year for the Egyptians. It was at noon when I arrived at the dam. This is the Dam of Aswan, built by Nasser with the aid of Soviet Union. That monumental remarks the collaboration between two countries when building this dam. The dam was considered as a large victory according to many Egyptians, for it has provided sufficient electricity supply and has reduced the possibility of flooding. This, from many people's perspective, have saved millions of lives. However, there is a well-known saying goes, Nasser, who built this dam, was great, but the one who destroyed the dam would be greater. These remarks are controversy on the outcomes of the dam. As Nasser expected, the dam has indeed monitored the floods successfully. But researchers have shown that the project has some long-run environmental impact on the Nile River. In 2015, a paper published by Egyptian researchers has assessed the environmental consequences brought by the dam 50 years after its construction. Several major results are included in the research paper. One major consequence is the reduction in fertile sediment supply in downstream floodplains. In the past, 80 million to 130 million tons of silt with nutrients were carried to the downstream plants, which are mainly agricultural areas by the river. However, after the high dam was built, the silt sedimented in the Nasser Lake, which is in the middle of the desert, and ended up with a reduction in soil fertility. I'm now standing on the Dam of Aswan. This dam is actually built by the Egyptian president Nasser, and this is the lake created by the construction of the dam. As you can see, the lake is very broad and large, and this lake is called Nasser Lake. The Nasser Lake is huge and faces high evaporation due to the high temperature. The annual evaporation of the lake has reached 1,700 million cubic meters, which means the waste of irrigation water. The high evaporation has also ended up with a high salinity of soil and downstream. The soil salinization process might finally make the area unsuitable for the plants to grow. The ship floated on the tides of the river, leaving the high dam behind. Cairo, the largest city in Africa, unfolded in front of my eyes. This city, with 23 million population, is the heart of this antique nation and the pearl of the Nile. But, in fact, unfortunately, according to my observation, Cairo is now more like a thrombus lies in the artery of the nation. Like a timing bomb, problems related to the development of this area can block the whole river and kill the nation. Let's see why. The river near Luxor and Aswan was pretty clean actually. We can see fishes swimming in the pure water of the river right near the boats and those vendors' boats in the upper stream. Lice thrive in the river, I can say. While in the GCMA or Greater Cairo metropolitan area, lives thrived in the river in another way.
Tons of phytoplanktons and algae have covered the surface of most tributaries of the Nile Delta. White trashes or plastic items are scattering on the surface of the river. As you can see, pollution is a severe problem in Egypt, and it can lead to irreversible repercussions.
Some may say, oh, that's just some plants growing in the river, they're not going to do any harm. I want to say yes, but those aquatic flora can actually destroy local ecosystem. This is what we call eutrophication. Eutrophication is a phenomenon which excess amount of organic element may cause overgrowth of phytoplankton. Once phytoplankton have covered the surface of the water, they will kill other water plants by shading the sunlight. And after those underwater plants die, they will decompose. This process will use up dissolved oxygen, which supports aquatic animals' breath. Finally, due to the lack of oxygen, aquatic animals will die and leave behind the so-called dead zone. It is crystal clear that the flourishment of phytoplankton is in fact a representation of severe eutrophication. Then, how can eutrophication impact our lives? Actually, eutrophication will destroy aquatic ecosystem and thus impair local agriculture. What's more, living condition and aesthetic value of the Nile-River will be reduced and make local citizens as well as tourists such as me feel unsatisfied. And I've investigated the source of eutrophication to find out the reason of this issue. In fact, experts have given the reasons of eutrophication in its definition, which is excess amount of organic nutrients, mainly nitrates and phosphates. Those compounds are from discharges in sewage and artificial fertilizers.
And after reading several research papers on this topic, I finally find the source of eutrophication in Egypt. Surprisingly, I found one major cause of eutrophication in Egypt is from an unexpected incident. I'll give you 3 seconds to have a guess. What is that incident?
It's the construction of the high dam. What we said about loss in fertility is just a part of the story. In fact, despite the loss in fertility of soil and the downstream caused by the dam is severe, the agricultural output of Egypt remained at a constant level, even increased a bit in past decades. This is because the application of artificial fertilizers. To increase the fertility of soil and maintain the output after the dam's construction, local farmers have to use excess amounts of artificial fertilizers. Those fertilizers, full of nutrients, are washed into water bodies. Then, eutrophication happened. Another cause of eutrophication is urbanization. Cairo has expanded to a large city from the time being. Larger city means more sewage discharges. Sewage is mainly composed of food and fecal waste, both of which are rich in nitrates and phosphates, produced by local citizens. Okay, now you know what's gonna happen next. Eutrophication occurs.
Since the problem is monumental, you may ask if there is any solution. Fortunately, the government have already done something to deal with the problem. They have enacted laws to prevent sewage discharges and even plan to build a water treatment system. However, without the support of local citizens, those plans will be useless. Local citizens can do something to reduce harmful discharges. For example, farmers can plant trees between fields and rivers to absorb nutrient leakage. Firms shall stop release untreated water into rivers. Those are things which are very easy to be done. In fact, all of us should think sustainably. We can't develop at the cost of the welfare of our descendants. Nile River, the artery of Egypt, shall be respected and protected soundly. In that way, the nation and its people's future can be secured. I think this is not just about Egypt. Everyone should respect and protect the environment around. Let's live sustainably.